Going live for the people. The like 3 people.
Hey.
All right.
No worries. All good.
No, there's never any worries. Never any worries. This is just how it is. All right, let's start this properly. Holly, the way we always do. As we today we're kind of slipping into the night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's later in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of slipping into the night.
Agreed.
I mean, you can't exactly go. I mean, if we were to go like right when it's turning night every single time, the showtime would change.
That is true.
Constantly.
Well, we're in a northern latitude, so
yeah. I don't know. I'm not exactly I don't know.
You're at a loss for words.
It's been a week.
Oh, how's your week been?
My week's been good.
Still in social isolation?
As is everybody, I think. I had my birthday on Wednesday, as you know.
Yes. Yeah, great birthday.
Yeah. I of course couldn't go anywhere. But no, I had a decent birthday. And to top my birthday off, at the end of the night, I got together with Matt Knapp and David Batdorf, and I had my one drink. I had one shot that day. Had a shot with those guys. Well, Matt doesn't drink, but David likes to drink beer. But yeah, shot the shit with those guys for like, oh God, it was like 2 or 3 hours.
That's awesome.
Late into the night.
And again, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. And excuse me. So I did that, and I talked to my son on my birthday. I asked him to jump into a. Him and I chat on a thing called Discord, which he introduced me to. They use it for like video games and stuff like that. So, I asked him to jump onto the server that he has on there, so we could talk on my birthday, and that was nice. I got to just talk to him for a little bit, see how he was doing. I know he's having some fun this weekend with his buddies. They figured out a way to watch movies together while they're all sitting at home. So they're watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy this weekend together.
Ooh, awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, but it's just like with everything going on. I mean, it's just been kind of strange. Everything keeps getting pushed forward, and I know like all the kids here, at least. I mean, I know in a lot of other places too. They've pretty much said, yeah, it's homeschooling for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Then they're not going to go back at all. Well, for the rest of this school year. And yeah, it's just been kind of. I mean, you just take it day by day now. I think, you know, whatever's happening is happening. I mean, it changes. So I am not quite sure what tomorrow will bring, or
I know.
It's you could say one thing, and then a couple days from now things could be totally different. And like I've said to many different people, this is something we've never experienced before in our lives. Like I mean, for so many people too, like it's just that nothing like this has ever happened. Like on this scale.
Well, right. The most recent thing really being that 1918 swine flu. Or
Yeah.
was that Spanish flu?
The Spanish flu.
Spanish flu, which,
Yeah.
very, very few people remember were alive then. Now have to be 100 years old,
Mhm.
102. So
Yeah, and you would have just been a freaking baby
you would have,
at
yeah, just as a
at this
baby.
point. So, I mean, it's it really is nothing we've ever experienced. No one around today has really ever been through anything like this. This is completely new ground.
Mhm.
Um, and it's been interesting to say the least. I mean, seeing like these lines at grocery stores and different places and all the taped out stuff on the floors and so on and so forth. It gets pretty it's like, wow. And I know like the more rational part of my brain is like, yeah, well, we need all this shit. We need to figure out a way to get past all this and get to the point where we don't need all that tape on the friggin' floor anymore, and we don't need to have lines to go into the fucking stores. But then, a lot of people have said, well, how do we get back to that type of living, and how many people are going to be able to go back to that way? you know, it's
Right. Well, humans as like mammalian creatures need a certain amount of social interaction and touch. So when we are self isolating to prevent ourselves from getting sick, we are actually though putting ourselves in kind of an unnatural state.
right,
And most people are fortunate that they live with others so that they are not completely isolated.
right,
But there are some people who live alone, and that's could be very, very hard. And so one of the things that we'll find is not only that we have an economic fallout from this, and plus the actual fallout from the actual pandemic itself, but a social, cultural fallout where people are um, had to have a shift in social interaction.
yeah. And I mean, like I said, it'll be very interesting to see how we go forward with our social interaction from this point on. I mean, like I said, it's going to affect people. Like these types of events have a tendency to affect people on a psychological level. So there are going to be people who have, issues from this, that are long lasting. And then there are going to be other people who are going to be very hesitant to go back to normal. People who just have like anxiety about this type of shit. And it's a weird world. It's new ground, totally new ground that we're treading here. So, it's interesting. That's for damn sure. It's I mean, like watching all these people like going stir crazy sitting in their houses. I have one friend who lives pretty close by, um, and she's got a house over in Scarborough, and it's just her and her friggin' dog. And she was like, the only contact I had was when somebody came and dropped something off in my garage, and I stood in the doorway and talked to him.
Yeah, and that's the you know truly for many people out there. I
Yeah,
know I had talked to my parents the other night, and we had been seeing each other quite regularly because they live in my same little tiny small town. Then I haven't seen them in almost a month,
yeah.
and my mom was like, "Yeah, I'm just flat out sick of it at this point."
Yeah, and I get people's frustration with it, but at the same time, it's like one of those things where if we can just, and chances are in a lot of these cases, you're not going to drag anything over there, or they're not going to drag anything, but it's the chance that you do. That's the problem.
Well, I
Therein
think
lies the problem.
that's true, but I do think the long term is that at some point or another, everyone will get it.
Yeah,
This is just a slowdown of this natural process, so that basically the healthcare system isn't surged,
right,
because
right, because
your
because
outcome is
if
much better if you are attended to by healthcare people who are not overwhelmed.
Right, and that's what's happening right now is the system is getting slammed with so many people,
Well,
and
especially in places like New York City, which is
oh, yeah.
like nightmarish. My local area is not like that yet.
Yeah.
We might be 3 weeks to a month, or we might never really reach that level because we've been good enough at the stay in place orders that we aren't going to have such a big
Right,
peak.
such a yeah.
Um, but I've been doing the research on with the different epidemiologists, and they say, well, what typically happens in a pandemic is that you have the first wave, which is can be more or less steeply inclined, and then it looks like it's receded, and then people go out, and then you have more like little
Yeah.
bump ups. So, um,
Yeah, well, I think with the Spanish flu there, it was like it surged and then it came back again in the fall,
mhm.
so I mean, like, the crazy thing right now is all the fucking conspiracy theories that are just fucking being thrown around about this shit. It's like, God almighty, people. Like, don't you people realize all they needed to do is to tell you that there's a virus to make you stay inside your home? Shut the fuck up. Really, just shut up. God damn. I mean, the amount of fucking just mouth breathing assholes out there right now who can't fucking spew enough bullshit. Like nobody's nobody's getting mass arrested. I mean, I don't know about you. Have you heard about anybody getting rounded up and shot or anything?
The only thing I heard was that possibly happening in North Korea. And and I don't know if that's even true or not,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
I typically I don't pay attention to it. But my approach to that kind of thing is to be just very practical. And I don't listen to a lot of media unless I go and
right.
I look and I have my news sources that I trust as being fairly reliable. And then, I mean, I'm aware of the conspiracy theory stuff out there, and I just don't.
Well, I have a pretty active, fairly large like page on Facebook, and seeing that stuff all the time, it's inevitable for me. I'm going to see it
Mhm,
with this all the stuff that I have to deal with on Facebook. So
mhm,
I see quite a bit of it. I try to ignore it as
mhm.
much as I possibly can, but
Yeah,
there's so much of it right now. I mean, people just cannot get just put out enough of that shit. I've seen it all.
right. Well, I mean, I think that's part of like, you know, different layers of distraction, to kind of keep you from focusing on what's really important, which is like the here and now, and how you and your family is moving through what's
Yeah.
going on. You know,
And just to say hi to everybody that has shown up today, Cam Zab,
hey, good afternoon.
yeah, uh, Katie,
Hey, Katie.
of course, Katie joining us, Steve Mann,
Hey, Steve Man.
436, and Joe Grizzly.
Oh, look at all those emojis. I love it.
That's
Even
right.
even pumpkin emojis.
There you go. And just now, Bad Gaming 69.
Bad Gaming 69.
That's right. So, yeah, and the 5G stuff, which is something we're actually going to talk about on the 40 and Slip in a couple of weeks. That whole bullshit 5G conspiracy shit. Um, but yeah,
That
I
puts people really in a big fear place, right? Is the 5G and other stuff associated with the pandemic. Also, how do you move
yeah,
through it without being in the fear all the
well,
time?
one of them is like that 5G is spreading the coronavirus. That's one of the things, the conspiracies about it. And it's like some of these countries don't even have it. How can that fucking be? Like, it's that asinine fucking shit. It's that flat Earth bullshit mentality. Like, just,
Oh,
ugh,
well,
oh god.
as if
Speaking of which, the other night I was talking to Matt and David about the when I went skydiving because
yeah,
I've been skydiving a couple of times. Oh, was that on the show?
the last show you were talking about your skydiving experiences.
Was I talking about it? And
Mhm.
I don't remember if it was on the show or if it was when I was talking with Matt and David by myself, but I said when I got out of the plane, the I was looking down and the instructor grabbed me by the head and pulled my head up, and Matt goes, "And you saw the earth was flat?" I was like, "Fucking guy's brilliant." But yeah, I just that type of mentality, that flat earth fucking bullshit. Why people? Just why? And I mean, especially like the conspiracies like right now and stuff with like trying to fear monger with people, with like martial law and they're coming after you and like they're gonna fucking they're gonna chip you with the vaccinations. All the vaccinations are gonna come with your chip. Like what? I mean, how goddamn tinfoil hat can you get? Like really? And why would you want to right now? And I know for some people it's impossible for them not to go down those rabbit holes. I know for some people they have like a mental disorder or whatever. I get that. Okay, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who are just fucking ignorant. But it's a scary time. We don't need to make it any scarier. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that from my perspective is that there is a point where when as you kind of grow and evolve, there is a point where you are yourself and the other, and sometimes that other is the enemy or the fear causing thing, and you are the victim, right? And
Mhm.
there is and so a lot of this is extensions of like a victim mentality. Oh, they're out to get me.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this virus is going to come, and it's this tool of like you know,
Yeah.
mass death or whatever. And then there is another perspective of I'm a living human being um in this, population that is all experiencing this experience that has some very scary effects, and there are also like the reduction of pollution, some very beneficial things that have happened. The way people have come together to donate supplies to hospitals, it's been really amazing. One of
Oh
my
yeah.
local companies, it's a chocolate company, brought us a truckload of chocolate
Oh nice.
to all the hospital workers and the healthcare workers
Oh,
to
that's
give
so
us
sweet.
a little moral boost,
Right, yeah.
which was like super appreciated by everybody I work with.
Oh yeah.
And we sometimes, because we kind of get caught up in the fear stories, we don't hear those good stories, but it's the good stories that we need to think about.
Well, then look at all the
And
people that have started making masks for for
mhm,
for people and just the outpouring of support that has come out of this. You're always going to have your assholes. I think we should try to
mhm,
tamp them down as much as possible.
mhm,
But I mean, I've seen a lot of people just say, hey, if you need help, ask.
yeah,
Don't be quiet. Ask. If you're in need, ask. And there's a lot of people who are just helping people out. You know,
absolutely.
I know Steve has sent out a bunch of different care packages to people, which is really awesome. Uh, he sent some out to me, and I mean, I wound up asking him if I could have a little extra to be able to give out to some people that I knew,
Hmm.
and he did.
Hmm.
So,
Well,
I've been able to help out with some of the people that I know.
yeah, and I mean, like you and I of our like 40-something generation, we are like the grandchildren of the folks that lived through World War II.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, my grandmother and my grandfather actually, um, they didn't serve or anything, but they volunteered for like the lookout towers along the shore.
yeah, and my grandmother would, as a kid, collect metal because there was huge metal drives,
Yeah.
and my great grandmother would go through and make sure everyone in the town had their blackout curtains up because we live close enough to the seacoast of New Hampshire that there was a big concern that there would
Yeah,
be
I mean, the closest thing in history that we've gone that the world has gone through would be World War II. Would be the
right.
closest thing in comparison, but it's a different type of thing too.
It is
It
that it's not because part of the reason why we were very successful is that our society really unified and mobilized.
right, and
And
this is
here we
something
just need
and
to
right, and
mobilize and unify.
well, we need to, like, kinda just, like, sit tight, and that's kinda hard for Americans to do. There's a lot of Americans, they don't like to sit tight.
Well, yes, but I also sometimes I just kind of detect this thing of what's happening in New York City isn't happening in my town, so it's not my problem.
Yeah.
And oh, that's like,
Yeah,
3 states
there's
away.
and there is a lot of that. There's a lot of, "Well, it's not happening here," and I mean, there's degrees of separation between people, so they're just like, "Ah, fuck it. I can still do what I wanna do." And that's the
Because
mentality that's gonna fuck us.
and I would just my personal approach is to reorient and say, well, this is not a New York problem. This is not a New Orleans problem. Just because my local hospital has not been overrun yet. So, we have this amazing opportunity to really kind of come together and help each other
Yeah, it
through
it
through
it
something that's tough.
it really it can be an opportunity, and, it everywhere I've been out, it seems like people for the most part, people are trying. Businesses that can be open are trying.
Hmm.
They're making the effort.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's gonna be hard on the restaurant industry, I know that.
Yep.
Um, it's gonna be hard on quite a bit, and we'll see. We'll really see. We'll see what the stimulus package does as far as keeping things going. I tend to think that they should just make sure everybody's taken care of with this fucking thing, but that's not my decision to make, so, I mean, I don't get to make those decisions. Um, I but we'll see. We'll see if this, the $1,200 for everybody is gonna work out. I don't know.
Right.
Is the business loans and shit that they put into there, are those gonna help? I don't know, and we don't know until it all fucking comes through. We aren't gonna know how this is all gonna play out.
Hmm.
Um, and right now everything is speculation. It'd be nice to say, hey, we could be open by this time, but we don't fucking know right now. And I mean, what was it? At one point, Cuomo was like saying in New York, he's like, yeah, I think we're on the downside of this now. And then they had like the worst day of deaths that they've had yet. Like, I mean, that's the world we're living in right now. So,
Right. And I mean, it's just I saw the images of the, the trench burials in New York. Did you see those pictures?
no.
So they have an island in I think it's like the Hudson River that's right there in New York City. Um, and they have been using it for years for burying people who can't otherwise afford. And so they used to And they've been using it for years, and their kind of standard rate for these like kind of mass graves is like 24 every week or two.
Mhm.
And now they're burying someone in these mass graves at a rate of 24 people a day.
Oof.
And I think that's a really kind of chilling statistic about what's happening there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's a lot of people packed into a tight space.
mhm,
Excuse me. You know, it's unfortunate, and
yeah.
everything that's happening with this is unfortunate.
And it seems like, because it is such a, global nexus point, and so many people from so many countries were going there. New York has really become the worldwide epicenter, and so I think they just deserve all our thoughts.
Yeah, and as much support as possible, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot going on, and yeah, there's a lot going on everywhere.
Hmm. I mean,
Um,
not to say that any of the other cities or hotspots are any less important, but
no, no, not at all. We should be giving anywhere we can. So it's really rough, and it's rough to see what it's doing to some people.
mm,
Um, you know, you talk to people, and I mean, I know there's some of my friends I know that have some anxiety and some issues with that, and it's day to day how they're making it through. And then you get other people who are just cool with it, just like, yeah, whatever, whatever. Like I talked to my son at one point. I'm like, "How you making out?" He's like, "I mean, I like spending time at my desk anyway, in my room." I'm like, "Oh, all right."
mhm,
Like, you're good then.
mhm, yeah,
So he was made for this, really. I mean, to sit home and kind of hang out. It doesn't bother him at all. And I was like, "Have you gotten out?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I got out for a walk." And I'm like, "All right, good."
mhm, yeah,
But it's just crazy that there's quite a good portion of the population that's just hanging out at home right now. And when
mhm,
you go out, it's sometimes, I mean, a lot of times it doesn't look like, ghost town type shit all the time. You go out and there's cars sometimes, but there's other times when you'd expect to see a lot of cars on the road and you're just like, what the fuck?
mm, yeah,
So it's different,
mhm,
and we are all going through it together.
mhm.
That's for
Yeah,
sure.
it's definitely one of our like defining moments of our lifetime.
Mm.
How we handle and make decisions on how to react to this global pandemic thing.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see this turn out to be like a shining moment, like we turn this around and everything winds up
Absolutely.
being great and the economy bounces back and you know, life is good, everything gets figured out. I'd love that. Fucking love that shit. Reality's probably somewhere else. But, like I said, everything is speculation and we're just trying to live through it right now. And like I mean, I work from home anyway, so like this didn't affect me much except that now like the places where or the times when I used to get out, I don't get to have that nearly as much,
Hmm.
as far as getting out and away from the house.
Right.
But for some of these people, it's such a drastic change. And I can totally understand how it would fuck up your mentality.
Well, I
You
mean, and a good number of people have been laid off,
yeah,
and they were already people who were living paycheck to paycheck. So, I mean,
yeah, and I know that, like, they're
it's huge.
I know that, like, the unemployment thing, like, they're trying to take care of people with unemployment, but the unemployment lines are so fucking bogged down right now,
I
they just can't keep up. So people are getting frustrated with that, and it's just like, wow. There's like it's a problem right now. So I think if people can just be as patient as possible, you know, especially like the people waiting for like unemployment benefits and stuff like that, just kind of chill, take a breath, realize that the system will pay you back unemployment, you know, um, and take care of it. It's not going to be an issue. Um, and just, you know, work to get by. It's just, it's a weird time right now. I mean, I don't know how you're faring with it.
I have my good days and my bad days.
Yeah.
Like I told you before the show, my work has reduced my hours because I work in a family medicine practice, and right now a lot of people don't want to come in, and we are also don't want to inadvertently expose anyone, so we are in like the course of 3 weeks have changed almost every single appointment to a telemedicine virtual appointment of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a little stressful to just kind of completely change how the business is done.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well,
but we,
I was talking with a traveling nurse,
mhm.
and she said that it's it's just like this the CDC is constantly taking everything they know and throwing it out the window too. So like in the hospitals, because she works in a hospital setting,
Yeah,
and she said it's crazy. It's crazy town.
yeah. So it's pretty much going into work every day, and something's new and something's different, and how we're gonna do it is new and different. And
Yeah.
uh,
I can't imagine that's not stressful.
ha, yeah.
Somebody
Well,
was posting something about, the 35th change in protocols.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, you poor people, like,
Well,
they have to deal with that shit.
it's the changes in the protocols, and then like because I don't work in the actual hospital, I work in the physician's practice. It's
Mhm.
okay, well, you guys aren't making enough revenue, so now we need to cut your hours, and
Yeah.
um and different things that are happening in that place. But that could change in the drop of a hat, because if someone's out sick, then we might have to change your schedule again.
Yeah.
um
And and the healthcare industry has always been notoriously understaffed. I mean, I've known that for years and years and years of family members in healthcare. And it's it's just it's a trying time right now for a lot of people, and most importantly, the people that are taking care of the sick. Um, they're taking a huge hit right now. As far as their lives and what they're having to deal with and what they're having to put up with. I've seen pictures of like doctors and stuff like camping out in their garages in a tent so that they're not like being around their family.
yeah, because and that's to minimize kind of our like constant exposure.
Mhm.
My work is not allowing anyone with any kind of respiratory symptoms in the building,
Yeah.
staff or patients. So, and it's because it is known that there's a good number of people who just carry it and they never really get sick,
Yeah. Yeah, they're
and
just asymptomatic.
or they just have very mild symptoms.
Yeah.
So, what would be really beneficial is when testing becomes more widely available, then we'll know who is sick and who's not sick, and
Well,
um
and
and then a little bit further, like who's got antibodies and
right, because
maybe some immunity.
that's what Dr. Fauci was just talking about, was that they want to try to push that test to know who has the antibodies,
Yeah.
which would be good. because I think it's one of those things where it doesn't guarantee that you're not going to get it again or whatever, but it's a good factor in these cases. Statistically speaking, it's a good factor in determining who's going to be okay. The people with the antibodies. But yeah, it's a weird time, and like everybody's freaking out over just the strangest things, I think, in some cases. And ugh, I it's one of those things where you just like everything to go back to normal. Could we just turn the simulation back to normal, please?
Yeah, but there's part of me that doesn't. I think we've turned a corner. Like this has been a pivotal moment in our timeline that we're not really going to go back to the way it was exactly. We may gain some level of normalcy back again, where we'll be able to go out without masks and but certainly the way medicine is practice has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, business is going to have to change. Going out in public is probably going to change for the future. Um, flight travel is going to change because it's really highlighted that there was kind of a lack of checks and balances and how open our boundaries were and how we respond to an airborne illness that starts in another country. And
Yeah.
it's going to bring up these things that in the long term are going to shift, I think. I could
Yeah.
be wrong though, but
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's one of those things that you can't predict. People are so unpredictable, and when you keep those lines open, like with the travel stuff, um, it just happened. I mean, unless they had shut everything down way early, which, you know, hey, hindsight's fucking 2020. It is what it is at this point. Here's where we're at. We can just work forward from here. You can sit around and fucking point fingers and all the bullshit. It doesn't matter. Let's get through this first. That's my take on the whole thing. Like, let's just fucking get through this. Get to the end.
mhm.
I'd like it to be at the end, please.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do too, but we're not at the end.
No. And from the sounds of it, we're not really that close either. We've got a little bit more to go. So people got to just kind of chill. Uh, as as one of my old managers used to say, hunker down. You know, just kind of chill out. Um,
Yeah.
we can get by. We can all get through this and get to the other side. And I mean, like, humanity is going to continue to go on. Like, people, and it sucks. People are going to die, and people are going to get infected with this. People are going to feel like shit.
Mhm.
Some people are going to get better. Some people won't. You know, I said last week, I'm fucking afraid of getting this fucking thing. I am a totally prime candidate for this. Prime candidate to have it fucking take me out. I mean, I don't want it. I can tell you that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I just hate the panic and the fear, the bullshit fear. I mean, I understand that people are afraid. That part I get. Like, that doesn't bother me. People just being afraid. I mean, yeah, I'm afraid. But the fear mongering and the people who perpetuate fear, that's the type of stuff that I hate right now. And it's something
Yeah.
that's always happened. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I don't know. I look to those people who kind of seem to be a steady voice, and certainly the New York governor, Cuomo, has been a great voice for us because he comes on and he does his little broadcasts and he's just like, this is what's happening in New York and this is what we're doing. And I get a lot of, reassurance that, he is kind of managing the kind of the worst area, and yet he's keeping his cool about things,
Yeah.
you know. So, I mean, you kind of look to those people who have solid leadership and aren't losing their heads. Um,
Yeah.
you know, it's all going good down. Frank, I'm glad your daughter's okay. Yeah, I think the fresh air thing is important. Like, just because you're inside, open the windows
Oh,
unless
yeah,
you're in like a
you can
really
still
urban area.
and you can still get out,
Yeah.
that's not like, that's not the issue. It's gathering in big groups of people and so on and so forth. Getting out is not an issue. Um, get outside, get some fresh air. I mean, I've, gone out, um, and, damn, the other day it was nice. They had windows on one side of the house and the other side of the house open, nice breeze coming through. It was great, you know. So, it's just kind of chill. Enjoy it. Steve man saying they don't have a mandatory stay at home in Wyoming right now. You should, Steve. Stay
Well,
the fucking home.
I don't think technically in New Hampshire we do either. We
We do.
we have
We
we
do here.
have non-essential employees have a stay at home. Anyone who's essential needs
Oh
to go
yeah,
to
yeah,
work.
yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, that's what we have too. Like the essentials.
Okay.
Yeah, the I think what he means is they don't have a stay at home outside of the essentials. I'm
Oh.
guessing. That's a guess on my part, Holly. I mean, Steve can correct me if he'd like.
Mhm.
Uh, but
But I
yeah.
know it's actually and it's different because I know some folks in the UK too. Because like Great Britain and the United Kingdom have a centralized like health system, it's different than what we're doing here, where we're more like it's state to state based in the response, and the federal government is trying to setting the guidelines, but leaving it up to the individual states on how actively to manage different situations.
Yeah.
Um,
And Steve said I am correct that they don't have the mandatory stay-at-home order for
mhm,
non-essentials.
yeah,
So and that's that's the type of thing that you run into right now. And you get some of these people who still want to have the big gatherings, like the church gatherings for Easter. Knock it the fuck off. If you can't fucking figure out a way to Skype or something for your frigging congregation, if I mean, I think God will get it.
yeah.
Like if you can't make it.
I am not as bothered by that, as long as people understand that they are risking their health if they do that, and that if they get it, then they're putting themselves at risk.
Well,
So
it's not.
don't say, hey, nobody stopped me. I mean, it's been pretty
Well,
clear and
it's not
open
that.
out
It's
there.
not. That's not the thing that bothers me. It's the people that they'll infect. It's not them getting infected.
Mhm.
It's the people that they'll infect beyond them and beyond the church, which statistically will happen, as we know. So it's one of those things that bothers me. Like everybody could just chill out, stay home. Like I said, get through this. I got some good books to read.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of you out there that have some books that you haven't read.
Hmm.
Sit down, crack a book, put on some coffee, whatever you want to drink, booze. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Kick
Bad
back.
Bad Gaming 69 says Southern Ireland has restricted travel to no more than 2 kilometers from home.
Yeah,
That's like really.
that's some that's some restrictions.
Yeah.
That's some damn restrictions. I don't know. I don't know. It's like I said. It is a strange time, and we've all got to try to just get through it. It's not going to be easy. But if we can just kind of, you know, be there for one another as much as possible. You got people you can reach out to, talk to them. You know somebody that has a hard time with shit. Reach out, make sure they're okay.
Mhm.
I know I've done that with a few people.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
um, there's been a couple of people where I've been like, oh shit, and just reached out to them like, hey, everything going okay with you? You know, and I'm not, it's just uh, it's it's not an easy time to reach out to people, like even to people like you don't speak to or whatever, but you probably should, like just like make those connections right now because it's a good time to do it. Just reach out and say, hey, just want to make sure you're doing all right. You know, I don't think that's a bad idea right now because there's a lot of people going through a lot of shit, and there's a lot of people who are trying to process a lot of shit in their heads. So yeah, it's been heavy this week for me. I'll be honest. It's been like a weird, heavy kind of week. Just kind of, I mean, not a
Yeah.
horrible week. It hasn't been bad. Like I didn't have a bad birthday or anything like that. People were like, and it's like, yeah, well, I didn't get to see people that I wanted to see or anything, but you know, it wasn't horrible.
Mhm.
I heard from a lot of people.
Mhm.
I was pleasantly surprised in some cases.
Mhm.
So, I mean, but it just, a lot of this stuff it's real heavy, you
Yeah,
know?
it's really heavy.
And we're all trying to just get to the other side of this. And,
Yep.
I, I don't, I don't know what the answer is.
Mhm.
And, um, like I said, I'll keep getting on here and,
Mhm.
trying to give you guys something to listen to.
Mhm.
I mean, we didn't come up with a topic this week. We were pretty, like I said, fucking week was heavy. So, uh, we didn't get a chance to hammer out a topic. And I just had kind of wanted to talk about everything that's been going on and what's, what the whole state of the situation right now. I don't want to say the state of the union. I'm not the fucking president or anything. But the state of the situation, cuz it's been, I mean, everybody's going through this.
Mhm. Yeah. It's
When
it's um you know it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Here's Frank saying that his friend works for the UK. I think that's National Health Service,
Mhm.
and she told him what she saw in the hospital, and it's definitely not a conspiracy.
Yeah, no. The conspiracies too are beyond that, Frank. It's just it's gotten fucking wackadoo. It's beyond that. The idea that the disease doesn't exist or whatnot, and I've heard all that stuff too. The hospitals are empty. Go fuck yourselves. Like people who want to say that shit on Facebook and stuff, just go fuck yourselves. You fucking Christ. It's a horrible thing to do to try to make people feel like this is something that is more sinister, on top of what's happening. That's I hate that. God, it makes me sick. That type of stuff. But there's other stuff too, like that the like I said, that the 5G is spreading it, and uh this is
But that it's a manufactured
it's a
one.
manufactured thing, and then, I mean, I don't know, there's all these people who are saying, like, there's this guy that's been arrested. Like, enough. Like, until it's done, can we fucking put a cork in it? I don't need a fucking conspiracy right now. I need to make it to the end of this self-isolation bullshit. Thank you.
Frank got some pet poison dart frogs to
Oh god.
help cope.
Can
That's awesome.
yeah. If you slip up, you can just end it. But
Oh,
yeah, I've had it with all the conspiracy stuff and just the crap. Just enough. Just people, just be good to one another and be cool. You know, it's like the end of fucking Pulp Fiction. Bitch, be cool. God damn it. We're gonna all be like fucking three little Fonzies.
hmm. So
I'm ready for that.
yeah. Um, so now that are you feeling purged of the heaviness, Chris?
No. Fuck no. I don't it's still there. Like it's all like this is happening. Like it's not going anywhere. I mean, the cool thing is I live in a pretty uh dead neighborhood anyway this time of year. So it's not like anything's different around here. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Um and I mean I can go out, I can do stuff. I just can't go out and do the normal stuff that I would have and like I would have. So it's just a different time, which I've had to adjust to. Like I said, I'm used to being in the house. That's not an issue. But I'm also used to being able to get out of the house when I want to too, as well. So it
It's been a big change in like personal freedom
yeah.
because you can't really just
I
do
saw
what you
someone
want.
I saw someone that posted something about, uh I a couple of weeks when I didn't wanna go outside, that was okay. But now when I do, type of shit, like,
Mhm,
eh, I never realized how much I really wanted to until I couldn't,
mhm,
sort of thing.
yeah.
Even if you didn't, it's just once it's taken away, it's kinda weird. And really, it's not, I posted one thing to the 40 and Slip page where, this is like being in prison, but like the prison in Goodfellas when you could still make pasta and shit. It's and it's just a weird time.
Yeah,
So, I mean, my advice to everybody is to just chill, be cool, be good to one another, reach out to people who you think need it, who you know need it. Or just friends. Make sure everybody's doing okay. Make sure everybody's, not going nuts.
yeah. Well, and there has been no one that I have known that has not had a moment or two where they've had a really hard time with it.
Yeah.
It's like I've come home from work a few times and I've just been in my bedroom by myself and I was just like, wow, this has been kind of an intense thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, if you have been up until this point living a very capable, functional life, and then all of a sudden all these like ability to have your freedom and go where you want, and all of a sudden this has been taken away, it has been something to have to really kind of cope and adjust to.
Yeah.
And then to all of a sudden see society around you come to a screeching halt in a matter of weeks.
Yeah. It's
And just it's
it,
when you stop and you just process that, it's wow, this is a lot.
yeah. And like I said, never seen it.
Hmm.
It's like one of those things like, what this isn't supposed to happen. That this isn't supposed to be the way that it is. That's the weird part about it. Like it's sort of like the wonderment of we live in the Northeast. When I was young, um, when it snowed real heavy, like everything would shut down for like a day. Like when it got real bad, they'd shut everything down. No one was going out. You get like the heavy blizzards, and it was kind of like some wonder to it. Like, we're gonna all stay in, but we all knew it was only like a couple of days, and then they were gonna plow. Everything was gonna be all right. We're gonna all be going outside. It's gonna be cool. This is yeah, this is a bit longer.
Well, and I think the hard part too is that here the weather's getting nicer.
Oh yeah, and people want to
People
go outside.
because we have about an hour north of me, we have what are called the New Hampshire White Mountains, which have a lot of hiking trails that lot people from all over the Northeast go, and they want to hike it in. And my state has said, hey, if you're coming out of state, you need to automatically quarantine yourself or self isolate for 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who had been wanting to just go out for a day trip to get their hike done, nope, it's not
Yeah.
going to
And
happen.
you know that people are gonna not adhere to that too.
Hmm.
That's the other problem. You got people that are just not even gonna bother to adhere to it, which is sad. You'd think people would think a little bit smarter about the whole thing, but that there are people out there that just don't, and
Hmm.
they come in all walks of life. I'm sure hikers have their assholes too, but
Well, and what happens is that if they're, coming from a more urban area and they bring it up to the mountains where they have a little rinky-dink hospital,
yeah,
and they fall on the mountain and then they have to get rescued. And then they are, unbeknownst carrying this. And now they've spread it all up there and
yeah,
overwhelming these little mountain hospitals.
yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a serious problem.
Yeah. I see Charles Rubich. I'm not chilling. I'm pissed off about this virus. And that's another really common response is that, there are a lot of people who just feel really angry and about what they're experiencing, and that's okay too to feel angry, and everybody processes it in different ways.
Yeah, but it's okay to be angry, but we all need to just kind of like follow the procedure right now. That's the thing. I mean, it's alright if you want to be pissed off about it, but just follow the procedure. Chill. Chill out. Not, you can be unchill in your head, but just chill out. Stay home. Or whatever. If you're part of one of those essential workers, you got to go to work. If you're a healthcare worker like Holly is, my hat's off to you. But yeah. On that note, Holly, I'm gonna wrap us up. It's been kind of a strange show.
Let's try to think. I can't do heavy shows though every week, Chris.
No. Well, we did the pyramid labyrinths there in Egypt last week.
We did, yeah.
We got to come up with we definitely got to come up with a topic for next week. I just needed to do a little venting today, so
Okay, that's fine too.
We'll come up with a topic, and we will talk to you all next Saturday. So be safe, everybody.
Stay well.
Yes, stay well, and we will talk to you then. Bye-bye, everybody.